हेलो एवरीवन, मैं हूं आपका अपना ऋषि सर और क्लास 10 कनेक्ट में आप सबका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। सो टुडे we're kicking off a really important chapter, Geography का Chapter 2, Forest and Wildlife Resources. Now this isn't just about exams. ये एक ऐसा chapter है जो हमें हमारे beautiful planet और उसके precious treasures के बारे में सिखाता है। So are you ready? चलिए full focus के साथ शुरू करते हैं। Let's start on a really beautiful note. Just listen to this. This is a folk song from the Lepcha tribe in Sikkim. It really makes you think, right? इससे हमें समझ आता है कि उनके लिए nature, prakriti, what it truly means. Springs, rivers, mountains, animals, it's all music created by God. What an amazing thought. इसी positive सोच के साथ, let's move forward.
Okay, so here's our plan for today. First, we'll talk about India's amazing natural treasures. Then we'll get into why we really need to protect them. What's the problem? After that, we'll look at the solutions, what the government has done, and importantly, what people like us have done. And finally, we'll figure out our own role in all this. So it's like a complete story, from understanding to action. Let's go.
All right, first things first, we need to get one thing straight. We're not alone on this planet. Not at all. हमारे साथ, millions and millions of other creatures live here, from the tiniest bacteria to the huge blue whale. And guess what? We're all connected. हम सब आपस में जुड़कर एक super complex web, एक जाल बनाते हैं. And this very जाल has a name. We call it biodiversity. So what does it mean? In simple terms, it's all the different kinds of plants, animals, and tiny organisms living together and depending on each other. It's a huge team. Now just think about it. अगर इस जाल का एक भी धागा, just one thread, breaks, the whole system gets weaker. And why is this so important? Because this very biodiversity gives us everything we need to live. Clean air, fresh water, and food. समझ आया? It's literally our life support system. But, and this is a big but, here comes the problem. A really serious one. हमारा ये precious treasure, this rich biodiversity, is in big trouble. It's under a huge threat. Our forests and wildlife, they're disappearing, and they're disappearing fast. The big question is, why? So this is the most critical question we need to ask ourselves. Why? Why is this rich biodiversity under so much stress? What's going on? What are the reasons behind this? Let's dig in and find some answers.
Okay, so here are some of the major culprits. First up, just our insensitivity towards the environment. We just don't care enough sometimes. Then there's poaching, the illegal hunting of animals for their skin, bones, or tusks. So sad. Next, their homes are shrinking. Jangalon ko kata ja raha hai often because of the pressure from our growing population. So unka ghar chin jata hai. And it's a chain reaction, right? When forests shrink, the animals they hunt for food, their prey, also disappear. So here's my first question for you. Look around your area, your city. What do you think is the biggest threat to wildlife right where you live? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read your answers.
Now, when the problem is this huge, you need solutions, right? Thankfully, our government stepped in and tried to create a protective shield, a Suraksha Kavach, if you will. Let's see exactly what they did. This timeline is super important. It shows us the step-by-step action. Check this out. In 1972, the big one, the Indian Wildlife Protection Act, was implemented. This created a whole list of protected species. Just 1 year later, in 73, the world-famous Project Tiger was launched. Then, as we move into the 80s, even smaller creatures like butterflies and beetles were added to the protection list. And in 1991, for the very first time, plants were included too. You see how the idea of conservation became broader and broader over time? It's pretty cool. So those acts were the what. Now let's talk about the how. How are our forests actually managed? Well, the government has classified them into 3 main types. First, you have reserved forests. Think of these as the most valuable, the VIPs of forests. More than half of our forests are in this category. Then you have protected forests. These are protected from any more damage. And finally, there are unclassed forests. These are basically other forests and wastelands that belong to both the government and private communities. You'll find a lot of these in the northeastern states, for example. I hope that makes the difference clear. Okay, time for a quick activity. Grab a map of India, or just picture one in your mind. Can you find these 3 famous places? First, Corbett National Park up in Uttarakhand. Remember, it's India's very first national park. Then swing over to the east to West Bengal to find the Sundarbans, famous for its mangroves and the Royal Bengal tiger. And finally, head down south to Kerala to the Periyar Tiger Reserve. It's so important to do this map work because it really helps you visualize where these amazing places are.
Now, out of all the government's efforts, there's one that stands out. It's probably the most famous conservation project in India, maybe even the world. I'm talking about Project Tiger. So let's take a closer look. Why was it so desperately needed? Just look at these numbers. Seriously, at the start of the 20th century, we had around 55,000 tigers in India. By 1973, that number had crashed, down to just 1,827. That is a shocking, heartbreaking decline. And this alarming number is exactly why Project Tiger had to be launched. You see, a tiger isn't just an animal. It's what we call an umbrella species. Think about it. When you save the tiger, you have to save its home, the entire forest. And when you save the forest, you automatically save thousands of other plants and animals that live there too. Cool concept, right?
But listen, this story of conservation isn't just about the government. Not at all. The real heroes of this story are the common people, the local communities. Now we're going to talk about their stories, about real people power. Just look at these examples. On the left are the movements, and on the right, their incredible achievements. Remember the Chipko movement in the Himalayas, where villagers literally hugged the trees to save them from being cut down? Amazing. Then there's the Bij Bachao Andolan in Terry, which fought to save traditional native seeds from chemical farming. And get this, in Alwar, Rajasthan, villagers from 5 villages got together and declared 1,200 hectares of forest as a sanctuary and made their own rules to protect it. They didn't wait for the government. They took charge themselves.
You know, in our country, we have this ancient tradition of worshipping nature. And the best example of this is the idea of sacred groves. So what are they? These are basically patches of forest that are considered the home of local gods and goddesses, and so the community protects them with their life. For example, the Munda and Santhal tribes of the Chota Nagpur region worship Mahua and Kadamba trees. And of course, who hasn't heard of the Bishnoi community of Rajasthan who protect animals like the black buck as if they were their own children? It's a beautiful part of our culture.
Now, this is really smart. Let's look at a program where the government and the community started working together. It's called Joint Forest Management, or JFM. The idea is simple. The forest department and the local villagers become partners. Together, they work to restore degraded forests. And in return for their help, the villagers get benefits, like the right to collect non-timber products, like fruits, flowers, and medicinal herbs. It's a perfect win-win situation, isn't it? Okay, time for my second question for you today. Are there any sacred groves in or around your area? If you know of one, please tell us about it in the comments. I'd be fascinated to learn.
So we've understood the problem and we've looked at the solutions. Now we come to the most important part. What's the big lesson here? What's the final takeaway from all of this? All right, let's do a super quick recap. Point 1, India's biodiversity is a complex web that supports us all. Point 2, this web is in danger because of human activities. Point 3, the government has taken important steps like the Wildlife Protection Act and Project Tiger. Point 4, local communities have played a heroic role through movements like Chipko and traditions like sacred groves. And the biggest point of all, conservation is a shared responsibility. It's up to you and it's up to me. I want to end with this really powerful quote from Gautama Buddha. Think about this. A tree gives shade, even to the person who has come to cut it down. It just shows that nature is all about giving, unconditionally. It's always giving to us. Now, it's our turn to give back, to protect it.
And that was our chapter, Forest and Wildlife Resources. I really hope everything was crystal clear. If you have any doubts, any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, padhte raho, badhte raho.